yesterday, a two-bit expose of the same old story that I heard yesterday. Yeah, it goes the headlines, man. They all just go to plan. They're framed and fixed and rigged. You know they're all just spam. So buckle down, plug right in, and close its way under your skin. Just got foul from the things they spout, and it won't make you shout. Give me that good news, because I'm tired of the same old shit. That good news, because I'm tired of the same old shit.
Yes. Welcome in. Welcome
Morning.
to the Rounds. This is the most unique show here at 216 Creator Studios. Every Friday morning, 7:30 Central, brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at, Natural Therapy Wellness. 815-39 something 385 891. I don't know why I've forgotten their.
Let's start this over.
I don't know why.
All the times you've said their phone number and it escapes you.
It must be Friday.
Check them out at www.mchenrymassage.com. John and his team do a great job. 815-891-3895.
Morning, Shayna. Morning, Don.
And
They're
there's
already
Uncle
clicking.
Pete. And there's Uncle Pete under there. Uncle Pete is ready to go. Take that, paste that right into your URL and be part of this show. It is a great day to be part of this show. And our good friends over at JH Events and Flowers,
Can't forget
Jen
about
and
them.
team over there, absolutely
Oh,
fantastic.
yeah, you cannot forget about
$5 Fridays.
$5 Friday. Fresh bundle of great flowers, fresh cut flowers, and they'll take care of you. 2 locations, one in Fox Lake and one in McHenry. Absolutely the best. Check them out at www.jheventsandflowers.com.
That'll always get you out a little bit of trouble.
it.
Yeah.
Bring home some flowers.
That's
Right? If you're in trouble with the special person, you bring them home that $5 bouquet. Man.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
and
so sorry.
throwing a hot stone massage, and
There
you
you
just
go.
dug yourself out of your next mistake as
Potentially,
well.
potentially, right? And it doesn't have to be Friday. You guys can stop by any day of the week. Anyone,
So
they'll take care of you really well.
So move that mic. If you're going to be looking at Steve, keep the mic in front of your mouth because you sound so much better when you speak into the mic.
Hi, Mike.
Yeah,
Who's
look at-
Pete?
There you go.
Mike and Pete.
Steve.
Pete and Steve.
That's it. Did I
Mike,
say
Kent,
Pete?
Steve,
I
Michael.
thought I said Steve.
Tony, Steve. I'm not sure. What's your name?
I don't know. Anyway.
Hello.
So listen, Kelsey couldn't be
You call
here
me
this
whatever you
morning.
want.
Just a little shout out to Kelsey. Kelsey, we hope that your son starts to feel better. We'll miss you this morning, but if you want, Kelsey, feel free to take that link, throw it in your URL, and come on in on the virtual side of things. I want to talk about some things. The world has changed a little bit. The dating scene. None of us are dating.
Nope.
Right.
Well, technically,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not, but I
Yeah.
consider myself dating my wife every day because if I didn't, I'd probably go nuts.
And of course, Don says
Right off the bat from Don.
If only the microphone made what he says sound better.
I love Fridays.
So the dating all right, so
Friday.
so
Let's
it's
talk
been
about the
what,
world.
30 years since you've been on a date? 30 plus?
30. But probably I've been married 32 and a half years.
Yeah.
We knew each other. So yeah, you're gonna say close to 35. Well, since 1990 is when I started dating.
Where'd you take her on your first date?
The Walmart parking lot.
Okay. Nice.
Classic. Would you plug in and put on a movie?
No.
24-hour Walmart?
No,
Oh.
it wasn't. There was no such thing back in the 90s as a 24-hour. I mean, 7-Eleven might have been your only 24-hour shop back then.
So was
Yeah.
the Walmart parking lot the gathering spot for all the
No,
locals to hang out?
we both worked at Walmart and we just sat there and talked till 3 a.m.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the perfect first
Yeah.
date.
Yeah. So,
Very
yeah.
nonchalant, laid back.
Yeah.
How about you? When's the last time you were on a date? How long?
5 days.
Well,
So
prior to being married.
like dating somebody. Well,
Yeah.
God, Jesus, my wife and I have been together 37 years.
37 years.
Yeah,
And where was your first date? Where'd you take her on your first date?
Probably McDonald's. No, I'm pretty sure we actually went to a movie. That's a good question. She's gonna kill me now that I don't remember that, but pretty much a movie. I mean, that's probably the worst place to actually go on a first date.
Yeah.
Now in hindsight, like you're sitting there in front of a screen.
Well, movies
for an hour and a half.
Movies are a great option if the girl is very attractive but doesn't have a lot to contribute to the conversation. It's a great option for a date.
Or vice versa. But
How
yeah,
about
I mean,
you?
that was. Yeah.
How
What
about me?
about you?
How about you, bud?
I mean, up until what, 2018, 2017, I was very active in the dating world. And yeah, I mean, my first
Were
date.
you successful?
Yeah, like,
Being
he
active
did
and
get married.
successful is two different things.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? I'm married, so I guess technically I was successful in the dating world, right? But no, I had not been attempting to find a long-term relationship. It just happened,
Mhm.
That's normally how it does happen.
But yeah,
right? When you're looking, you don't always find what you're looking
Morning,
for.
Eric.
I mean, for me, that
Morning,
was
Eric.
exactly what happened for me. I wasn't looking.
Yeah, well, and then I took Sam. Our first date was technically in the parking lot of Jaster's, but the first official like going out, we went to a little Thai place in McHenry, Green Pea Pod.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
nice little
That's
place
a
on Green
place.
Street.
Yep, right on Green Street there, and we went over there.
Found out she was allergic to peanuts, and we had to take her to the emergency.
No, I
Great first date,
That's-
quality time.
I was about a half hour late, and
Way to
we
go.
almost never had another
On
date.
your first date?
I was so I said I'll meet
Wow.
you there after work, and if you know anything about the service industry, after work is whenever work is done. It's not a specific time.
Right.
And I had told her that, but she still showed up promptly instead of meeting me at the bar to then go to the restaurant. She wanted to meet at the restaurant. We did. I was about a half hour late because I had work to do to finish up. Almost didn't have another one, but yeah, here we are.
Here we
Almost,
are.
see, but it happened, and
Yep.
that's the thing. I think for me, the dating, it was never really a dating scene. I mean, for me, it was just trying to pick people up and keep myself busy type of thing, right? I mean, the more the merrier. And then for me, I was just lucky as hell because I wasn't looking at the time, right, for my wife. And it just stumbled upon it. I actually got drug out the night that I met my wife because I was the only one that had a car at that time to take everyone out to the party.
That works. Yeah.
I mean, it did, but it seemed for me with the dating scene. I mean, I obviously don't know what it's like today, other than when talking to my son and what he tells me. But I don't think I'd want to be there. It was like, today is so different because everybody knows or can know everything about that person or a lot about that person before they actually even
Yeah, but what's
go
wrong
out
with that? So my son and his wife met on Tinder.
You were mentioning this before,
Right.
and I think this is important. This is
yeah.
the most important difference in
Right.
today's world.
So when Ashley graduated college, this was one of her classmates, and we were down there at Eastern, Illinois, right? We've got a hotel and whatnot. And my son says to his sister, "Hey, I'm going to hang out for a couple more days because I've got leave from the Navy." And so he Tindered, and they hooked up on Tinder. And then the next thing you know, bang, they're living together. They're married now, and they're great, and they're a great match. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, and sometimes that's just how you find it,
Yep.
Eric, how'd you meet the lucky lady? Or I guess you're saying you're the lucky one because she's way out of your league. That's
Yeah,
fair. I think that's true for a lot of us.
They're still on the honeymoon. You guys, they just got married a few months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
Well, congratulations.
so
Yeah,
Eric,
absolutely.
and if you stalk, not only is Eric sexy with bedazzled pants, but
Well, yeah.
listen, he's a good salesman. He outkicked his coverage there.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a beautiful lady.
Yeah.
In all senses, I don't know her personally. But just following Eric on social media, she's
She
the,
like
she's the,
she
she's the
compliments
apple
him?
of his
All right.
eye. Yeah.
And Eric, where did you go on your first date? So that's what I want to know, because I'm curious, because the dating world is weird, because it's, a lot of people do have the story of like, well, I opened the app,
Right.
and this person was down, so I drove over to their house and I parked in the driveway, knocked on the door, and we hooked up, and then I left, and that's how we met. And it's like, okay,
Right.
cool. That's so common now.
Right.
Met online, got matched.
Yeah, it used to be a scary thing back in the day. Like, oh my God, you met online, could be a creep, whatever. And now people are like, no, that's the way we do it. Matter of fact, and yeah, I found 216 the net on Tinder. It was so lonely. So true. So true. I'm glad we hooked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He swiped left.
That's it. So yeah, I think the world today is different in the way that people communicates different. I mean, you can
100%.
have. I mean, today kids they don't talk on the telephone. They don't meet at houses. They Snapchat. They they do Apple calls or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very different world today, at least from what I see.
I've got a 15-year-old daughter. She's sophomore in high school, and she and her boyfriend are constantly Snapchatting and or talking through the technology on their phone, right?
Yeah.
And what it was it you, Scott, who is like, hey, whatever you stick in my daughter, I'm going to stick in you.
Not in those words, but kind of that's the gist. That's kind of the gist, right? Yeah.
But I mean, these kids still go to Six Flags. They'll still do things. They'll go to each other's house, hang out like we used to.
Right.
But the communication, back when we were there, and Bob is out there. Pops, how are you? Is the big deal is, hey, you have 30 minutes on that phone. Back in the day when it hung on the wall.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Your brothers need to use it or whatever. That's just your
so
time
you
limit.
try to work it out at school through a note. Okay, call me at 7:30 tonight.
Yeah,
7:30 to 8.
Yep.
And it's hey,
grab that big long phone cord, go tuck yourself in the closet so no one could bug you or listen to you. That was us, man.
Hey, everybody, let's give a shout out to Ruby. Hey, Ruby, how are you, sister? Glad that you're hanging out with us. And have fun at school. Make it a great day. That's the big thing.
It is Friday.
That's it. So, so as much as it's changed the way to connect, right? So Kelsey was talking about it last night as we were putting this together. Was that, back in the day, you used to be like we'd stare at a chick across the bar, make some eyes, maybe go buy a drink, whatever, right? Now, if you're doing that, the police are called.
I was just going to say that's the big thing for me now.
I want to know the story behind what she said when she said that, because I feel like there's a specific instance where she was staring at somebody and it got weird. And I would love to know that story because like, obviously that didn't come out of nowhere, right? Like she had a bad experience trying to meet somebody at a bar. Yeah. And I have the unique perspective on the dating scene, even though I'm not currently actively dating, being in and working around bars. The bar that Matt and I owned, Best of the Fox, best first date, best date night, 5 years in a row. Okay. It was the date night spot. I watched people get engaged. I watched people date for the first time. You see these people, they come through the bar, and it has changed. People don't just wander in and strike up a conversation with somebody. You plan to meet somebody, you meet them online. Just that's what we were talking about. Make a plan to meet at a bar. Then a lot of times it's the prefacing. She gets there a little bit early. Hey, just so you know, first date like this. If this guy is super weird, can you keep an eye out? And there's all this prep work that goes into it.
You get your friend sitting in the back corner paying attention to you. Is that right?
No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And there's all this prep work that goes into these dates now.
I mean, part of it for me, I think about it is, some of the pressure is kind of taken off with the way it is today, because you do know a lot more potentially about that person before you get to meet them. You know what I mean? And sit down with them, where back in the day for us, like Kent's saying, it's kind of like, glare across the room or looking at it. You kind of got to get the hooks, the balls, so to speak, to get up and go say hi or ask for a dance or what have you. And, it's fresh, it's raw. There's, nothing about that person other than the fact that you might be visually attracted to them.
And I feel bad for dudes that are still old school like that. I really do. I feel bad for a guy who's going out to a bar to try to meet a woman, because it is a horrible, not like it used to be.
That's the wrong place to meet a mate. That's a great place to meet a hookup.
We'll see. Yeah.
A bad place to meet a mate. Right?
But, there's plenty of, you're out there, you're having a good time. If you meet a single other person, bars are a very common hookup spot or a place to meet people. Yeah. But you can't just approach people in a bar anymore. Right. It's the world is not that place anymore. If you're a random drunk guy at a bar and you come up and hit on a group of women, the first thing they're going to do is glance in my direction, like, "Hey,
can you get him out of here?
Yeah, so you going to do something about this?" Like,
quit serving this guy, right?
So
Right.
let's push back a little bit about what you said there.
All right, let's hear it.
You know so much more about the person. What? Are you dumb?
So, no.
and here's
Am
why.
I? What the fuck? What do you mean? What am I dumb?
Yeah.
How could that even be a question?
Do you-
Like,
do you-
you know more about these people on these apps because they write down their profiles than somebody
and
that you're
they're
just meeting
always
fresh.
100% honest.
No,
There's more bullshit out online.
I'm
You
sure
know
there is.
nothing about this person. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh,
right.
Steve, I thought you were African American by what?
Oh, yeah.
by your profile pic, and holy shit, you're as white as the day is long.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's interesting, right?
It'd be like-
oh
so
my
you
God.
so you've got the bullshit already in front of you before you meet them, where you actually have to sift through the bullshit when you actually are talking to them in person. So you might be able to weed through that a little bit. You know, I think. I mean, yeah, I don't know
You
how
put
much,
out
how
a-
much of it is real. I don't know, but I
you
mean,
lie on the entire thing. I show up and I go,
you're not.
well, there's no bullshit there. What I said is, damn, you lied. Got to go.
Right.
You know nothing about it.
But the potential there to know more
Yeah.
about these people is a lot better. Back when you and I were dating, the only way we knew about our potential dater, the person we're dating, was by talking to other people in town that might know them. Now they have a digital footprint that you can try to follow. Is it 100% true? Of course not. But there is going to be going to be some information there that is legit, right? And that's more of the point. What I was trying to say is there's a lot more information out there about the person, these people today, that you can potentially find. Yeah, do you know if it's 100% true or not? No, you don't. I mean, that's the thing. You're going to find out anyway through dating them, if you know they really are who they say they are and what
Scott
they
and I
enjoy
have
to
spent
do.
several weekends together without our wives.
Platonically.
Without our wives around. So it does happen.
Yeah.
Define date.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right?
But you know what I mean? They could be lying 100% to
Oh,
you.
100%.
But you have a lot more access to find out who that person is potentially, right? Than
Yeah.
we did back in the day. Back in the day, if I wanted to find out about somebody, I asked somebody that either knew them or, you know what I mean? And you still got misinformation, but it was up to you to kind of sort through it. Same thing today, but now there's a lot more thrown in your face.
Yeah.
Right? And you have that opportunity to bullshit a lot more, right? For me, I mean, obviously, I've only done it one way, so I preferred the old school way. It worked. It worked for me. It was. What's the word?
Deidre's second guessing that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
For
is
sure.
Alice.
I mean,
so is Alice.
She
trust me.
definitely jumped down on that on the whole scale
Right.
there. You know what I mean? I'm luckier than hell for that one. So I mean, I appreciate my friends. If any of them are listening, thank you very much for pushing me out and using me for my car that night, because like, who knows where I'd be? I probably wouldn't be around. Because that was
Your
back
whole
then.
life
It
might
was,
have been different. Yeah.
oh, my whole life had been. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I guarantee it, because we'd go out to the bars. At least 3 to 4 nights a week.
Right.
Thinking that's just the greatest place in the world to go pick up women.
Yeah, that's back when you could get quarter beers too.
Well, that's true too.
And
That's
that's
honest.
and the
that's
cops,
not a
if you
lie.
got pulled over, they'd be like, "You've been drinking? Yeah. Would you just go home?
That's
Okay. Okay. Today it's like that'll be about 20,000,
Right.
and
2
your
nights in
car's
jail.
gone, 2 nights in jail, and that beautiful woman you're with, it's going on the internet. Sorry.
Yep.
And then you find out she's a man.
Yeah,
I-
absolutely done. Dime draws. Shayna says, just like any fishing expedition, the location, intention, and bait used will determine what you catch. The guy that could make eye contact and has the confidence to engage does better. $1 pictures. Man, I am old. Don. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but when you and
Shayna's-
Henry Ford got off work,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, Shayna's totally on there, right? You know what I mean? Place, time, person, getting to hang out. Take that initiative. That was for me. I mean, I hard to believe, guys. Spoiler alert, but I'm actually pretty shy when it comes to stuff like that. From somebody I don't know, if I know you, I'll talk your ear
Oh
off. You
no,
know that.
I'm.
But for me to-
people are like, God, he's an asshole, but he's funny.
No,
But he's an asshole.
I will tell
That's
you.
what they say about me. I'm like, all right, great.
I will tell you. I am so glad that I'm not part of the dating world at the moment, because it's a numbers game, and I just don't have that energy to
You're
do
not good
that.
at math.
I don't have. Yeah, right. Yeah. It's a numbers game, and I have dyscalculia.
Carry the 3. Dang, Wilt Chamberlain.
But because Shayna nailed it. You're the more effort you put in, defines, what you're able to take away from it. But
Yeah.
if you're going out to the bar and just meeting people, as I have done,
We all did at some point.
The quality of people, it is a numbers game.
Yeah.
You've got to go on however many dates to find somebody that you can have a conversation with. And then you got to spend some more time with that person to see if, your goals in life match up. It's a whole process.
Right.
And in this day and age, people are so weird. You never know what you're walking into on a date. Your date could just be a total psychopath. What you're saying is that people so well now, and it's like, to Kent's point, what their profile says,
Right. And
you know what they look like,
right.
And that's the weirdest part about these dates, right? Like we used to want to know something about the person to go on a date with them.
Well,
now we judge it entirely based off of their appearance,
right? And for me with that one, like the preconceived notion, like even if their profile is wrong. Right.
Yeah.
100%. You're going in with this idea going, this is that person.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then you get there and it's like, say what? Right. I mean, so for me, as hard as it is, I mean, the discovery phase, I guess, or discovery of that person, who they are, and slowly but surely learning about them is kind of exciting, and kind of knowing or having everything out there in front of you about who they are, what they are.
Yeah, Shayna says
a little bit different for me.
Shayna does say it's a numbers game if you're emotionally lazy. Do you say no to the low-hanging fruit if you're starving? That's when you welcome crazy.
Well, first of all, if she knew anything about my dating life, you would know that I start with crazy. That's
right.
I welcome crazy from the start.
He doesn't take the low-hanging fruit. He takes the stuff that's on the ground around the
I was
tree.
going to say stuff that's already down rotten, stuff that's already rotten. It's already been poisoned.
To me, here's what I say is, it's written in your book of life, right? On who you're going to meet, when you're going to meet, and maybe you and your soulmate, met in a previous life and you ended up finding each other. It's just the way that I think that the world works. So it doesn't today, the dating scene, it doesn't matter to me if you are, if you hook up online in an app or something like that, good for you, right? Because there's a chemical reaction. There's energy between you that you share that that's why I tell my kids, I'm like, you'll know.
Right.
I go, trust me, you'll know. Yeah. You don't have to
100%.
look for it. You don't have to go hard looking for it. You'll know when you get
when you find it because you can't.
Right?
Your body
and
just
go,
tells
well,
you.
What do you mean, Dad? I'm like, I can't explain it. But listen, I knew your mom for 3 months and I asked her to marry me. I knew her for 3 months. Yeah. I asked her to marry me. And here we are. This coming up June will be 33 years.
33 years,
right? Yeah. And we still have a blast. We still laugh together. We still cry together. We still love doing things together, right? We still get pissed at each other. She gets more pissed at me than let's be honest.
Just too much energy to put up, right?
She still gets pissed at me because I'm an idiot, right? Hey, Stephanie, good morning. Of course, big show today.
Good morning, Steph.
Morning, Steph.
And Steph, where did you and Rich have your first date?
Yep.
What does Don say? Shayna, it was best to have a great wingman whose standards were lower.
That's what, everybody needs a Sean.
And thanks for listening, Sean.
Here, I don't want her, but thank you very much. Let me talk to your friend.
So to me, to me, it is, I'm okay. It is what it is. Because I don't know how you're going to find that person, right? Listen. If I wouldn't have dropped out of college and Alice would have dropped out of college, we would never have met at Walmart. If she wouldn't have come in to see one of her friends, we would have never met.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing for me, like when
Steph had her first date at the Thirsty Whale.
Oh, the Thirsty Whale.
Classic.
Yeah. Like for me, the dating scene, especially today, even is just like with my son, when we talk about it, I said, I don't know because I just don't know people. I don't really understand how, how the communication thing and why you'd rather talk to someone on the phone. I said, but rather than in person, I said, but here's the thing. I said, you're going to find the person most likely doing the things that you love to do, right? Because you want your person, that your significant other to at least enjoy some of the things that you enjoy. So go out, be you, if you want to join a bicycle club or, if you want to tennis club or whatever you enjoy to do, and that's the other person. Hopefully you find they just came out with this new company, maybe not just, but this new place. It's Events and Adventures.
Yep.
Right. It's not a dating site, but it's a
meetup group.
It's a meetup group, right? People that do commonalities, right? They get together. It's not like just one or two people. It's a bunch of people going to do things and of common interest, and then you can start to talk, interact back and forth.
Don's going hard, huh? What is that,
Mississippi
dude?
burning.
He knows how to set the mood.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, a great deal of life relates to the turn right, turn left. That's
Yep.
what Bob says.
That is true. That is true. You just don't,
I don't know what that means.
Making that choice
decision. You make that choice. You either go left or you go right, and that puts you down this path. And what
for the
happens
rest
here-
of your life.
Right. Like for me, I turned left that night because my buddies bugged the shit out of me to have me drive them to a party, which I really had no interest in going to. I took that turn, and that turn led me to my wife and just changed my life. Yes.
See, that's where I say you spend so much time in your life trying to understand and beat the game of life that you don't realize when the universe and life is saying you need to be here, right? You fight so hard to try to figure it out. So Rancher Ron used to say it all the time, right? Life is an adventure to be lived, not a problem to be solved.
Yeah.
You try to solve it, and you're like, I didn't want to go out that night, but the universe is like, oh yeah, you do.
You're right.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah, things happen
Right.
for a reason. I just
Hey.
a lot of times like to understand why it happened.
Hey,
you know,
the best part of the ride is not understanding. The best part of the ride is the euphoria you get by being on it.
well, you
That's
ain't
it,
wrong there.
right? And that's the way they roll, right? So that's why I'm saying is you still today you're like, I didn't want to go out. You'd be like, damn, so
Well, luckier than
Hey.
hell that I went out, but that was not in my cards, but it obviously was because my buddies pushed me. The universe wanted me to do it. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if it was up to me, I would have been screwed. But
Yeah.
there was another power that was telling me and pushing me to go, just do it, just go. Be the good buddy.
It's funny, but Deidre says the same thing. I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
Now I went. I really wish I wouldn't. Alice says the same thing.
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Right.
Well, it depends on the day. Some days she's like, that was the greatest thing ever. And then she's like, fuck.
Yeah.
My
What was I
friend screwed
thinking?
me. Why did they have me come over that
Hey,
night?
listen, this afternoon, 3 bells Central Time, in the know with Steph and Joe, talking about the cost of learning something new. And it kind of goes along with the dating thing here, right? What is the cost of learning something new? And are you willing to pay it?
Oh.
It's going to be a great show, in the know with Steph and Joe at 3. And if you haven't, if you've missed an episode, of The Grounds, if you've missed an episode of In the Know with Steph and Joe, if you've missed any episodes around the piano, any show that we have, go out to Spotify and just do a Google search. In the Know with Steph and Joe. If you just go In the Know Steph Joe, you'll find it. It'll pop right up on Spotify. If you just put in The Grounds, boom, there we are. You are good to go. And Don says that I totally believe people find each other more when they are not looking.
That's always true. Yeah.
And it's true.
100% in my case,
Yeah. So here, Shayna, this is a good one. Shayna wants to know your proposal story.
Yeah. Well, what about you?
Mine's easy.
Yeah.
Right? I knew her for 3.5 months. And at about the 2-month mark, we would, they used to have these places, Steve, called malls. Malls were like Amazon, but brick and mortar.
In Amazon
So
without
like,
wheels.
Like
Yeah,
an
and a
Amazon.
bunch
So
of-
so you opened up the app on your phone and you walked inside. I'm just not
That-
understanding
yeah.
the concept. What do you?
So we went to malls, and while we were there, at that point in my life, I was a jewelry guy, necklaces, rings,
Yeah.
watches. I love watches. It's still one of my watches, shoes, and glasses. That's where I go. But anyway, so we were going around, and we went to in Dubuque, Iowa, and we were just wasting the day. And this Don must have a good story about that.
Hey, John.
Good morning, there.
And so we went, and we were trying on rings, and she put on a ring, hand shook, right?
Yeah.
Left hand shook. And I remembered that ring, and for the next few weeks or other places we went, she'd try on rings and nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So I went and bought the ring, right? And it was about 3.5 months in. We're in my parents' basement. They're gone. We're just hanging out, being 21-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I have the ring in my pocket. and
You're just not happy to see her.
no, and so we're sitting there talking and talking and talking. And the weirdest thing is, I was planning on proposing. Now, I did not ask for her parents' permission.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm not marrying her parents.
Right.
Your dad not like
Don, what is happening out there?
the toilet.
There, thank you, man. You got a lot of rain.
Could you actually be hearing the coffee maker finishing up? Is it that loud?
Maybe.
That's what that was.
Could be, yeah.
That's what it
I'll switch headsets if it's letting that much noise in. I'll switch
Yeah,
headsets.
it sounded like a train rolling.
It did.
Right?
Yeah, it's the coffee, but the coffee, at the end of the coffee pot brewing, and kind of that's what's happening. So I'll switch it off.
So the funny thing is, we're hanging out there, and she's digging me, I'm digging her, and she gave me a necklace just out of the blue. I wasn't expecting that. She's like, "Here, I really like it, and I wanted you to have that. It's thought of you, blah blah blah." It's a nice necklace, and I'm like, "Oh well, if I give you a ring today and ask you to marry me, would you say yeah?" She's like, "What?" So I pulled it out. I said, "Will you marry me?" And she started to cry, right? And I go, "I'm so sorry."
I'm so sorry. I know I'm not the greatest.
I'm like, I really didn't mean to upset you. I thought, I had planned this big thing out on Pikes Peak.
Yeah. Okay.
And hey, as far as you could see, is for however long, this whole romantic thing. But then she gives me this necklace, so I'm in return going, hey, if I give you this ring, if I gave you a ring today, would you and actually marry me? Would you say yeah? And she's like, oh, and I pulled the ring out, and she started to cry, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. This is supposed to be a happy time. I didn't know that.
Right.
And she was crying because she was very excited. She said yes, and we, the next thing you know, we go to her house, and she shows her mom. Doesn't come in flashing it, but gives her mom a hug from the back, and puts the ring out in front, and her mom's like, "Oh my god!" And then my brother was getting married that summer that I engaged, and her sister was getting married the next summer, so we had to wait like 18 months before, just for logistics. But yeah, so it was awesome. And,
what was the percentage that she was going to say yes when you asked in your mind? You had the ring in your pocket. You're like there is a percentage.
You're 3 months in.
There's a percentage that at 3 months she might say yes. Like in your head, where was that line?
No, I didn't care.
Was it like 50%?
I mean, I was 21, right? I mean, I'm 21. You're like, and I'm a sportsman, right? You take the shot, you miss the shot. Well, all right, put that shit back in your pocket. I still had the receipt. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. Fuck it, I'm going for it. I still got the receipt.
Yeah,
Was it
right? But look back, that's where I was. I mean, hey, if it wasn't right then, okay. But I like Don said, and like I tell my kids, I'm like, I don't know, you just know.
Yeah.
You just know.
It's that feeling in the pit of your stomach.
There was never an ounce that said she's gonna say no. Never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, apparently you got that one right. She still loves you.
So yeah, 100%. 100%. Never, and maybe that'd been my naivety and cockiness as a 21-year-old. But never was it. She's going to say no, right?
And that's good because that keeps you in a positive life.
And here's why, Shanna. Nobody loved Kent more than Kent, right? So if I love myself so much, she got to love me.
She has to, right? She has to,
right?
Right.
Yeah, that's it. Bob says I proposed to my wife when I was 15.
Whoa!
Wow.
Yeah.
When I gave her the ring and asked her to marry me, she said, "Oh, that's fake."
Yep.
and threw it out the car window.
Wow. I remember him telling me that. I'm like, and it was real. She thought it was like out of the Cracker Jack.
Enough
box.
about my ex-girlfriend. Let me tell you about how I met my ex.
Yeah, Bob, you had to know she was a keeper at that point. That is.
Oh
great.
yeah, they've been together forever.
How about you? What's your story?
I proposed. My wife and I had actually been together for a while. I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but we actually had already had our daughter before we got married. So we had been together.
So you gave her more than the ring.
I gave her more than the ring. Yeah, we actually. My daughter Carolyn was born.
So she said yes out of pity. I guess so. God,
No,
Necessity.
she said yes.
he's gonna be in my life for the next 18 years.
The whole thing
anyway.
was the whole thing was. No, I mean, it was one of those things that it was like you say, it's right, but for me, it was like I was young. I was 21 as well.
Yeah.
When and I'm like, oh man, just because I have a kid doesn't mean I want to get married. Let's make sure we get together. I mean, like everybody else, ups and downs. And then one day it was just like, I'm gonna make this legit. I'm gonna be, make an honest, woman out of her. And
yeah,
that was
morning, Shaylee. How are you? All right, Steve-O, how about
Excuse
you?
me.
Yeah, it was similar to Scott. Sam and I were together for 6 years, and I was never a fan
Of commitment?
of marriage.
Oh, of
specifically.
marriage.
Commitment. Well, that's
So I had told.
well, that is marriage. That's a
Sam-
commitment and a half.
So yeah,
Lifetime.
after about 6 months, we moved in together, and we'd been living together for all that time. And yeah, and then she eventually had given up on the idea of getting married. She had come to terms with it. Like, I guess we're never going to get married, but I knew she wanted to. Yeah, so he took her out to the desert, in the Mojave Desert, the Rise Festival.
Left her for dead.
The Rise.
On your way back. I said, hell, if you can do that.
Here, honey, take these before I want to ask you something.
You make it out of the desert, I'll marry you.
There's this great little shack on the reservation. We can get some good stuff.
We can go in this teepee and it gets really warm in there, but it's okay.
That's
Just
right.
drink this.
We did middle of the Mojave Desert. It was
crap.
hot. It was horrible.
Wow.
But then the sun goes down and they launch 20,000 paper lanterns into the sky at the same time, right? And you can see them just like, and it's awesome. So while she was staring at her lantern, I was behind her on my knee with the ring.
Oh, you romantic! He's very romantical.
And so she's watching, and then she turns around to find me, and she can't. And then she like looks down, and I'm sitting there in the middle of the dirt and the dusty sand.
Well, you're really
I'm
making
just like,
me look bad.
Yeah, Shaylee says, I have never and will never believe in marriage. I'm good on the whole paying the government to tell me what I can and can't do with my relationship. That's a good point.
The good thing is you might pay less to the government if you're married.
Probably pay less to the government.
Yeah.
All right, Don, how about you?
It's cheaper to be married.
Mine's. I apologize to all the ladies in advance for my story because
Oh boy, my ears just woke up.
it's just not very exciting. I mean, Connie and I met in January. We were married by the next March. I'd met her on business traveling, so we had a long distance relationship. And one time I was up there, we were driving around up in Minnesota where she was from. I was in Kansas City at the time. And here's my romantic proposal. Hey, what do you think? You want to get married?
Just a question here. Just gonna take the survey. What's your feelings on this one?
Yeah, it was very thought out, romantic. I just nailed it, didn't I, ladies? Yeah. So
It was the Cracker Jack box ring. Too.
but that was 35 years ago now. We've been married for 34. That's over 35 years ago now. So
Congratulations, buddy.
But yeah, congrats.
Every day is a
the
work
thing
in progress.
I'm gonna roll with Shaylee a little bit here. Back in the day, Alice and I got married. We were 22 years old. I've got a 22-year-old daughter, and I'd be like, "You're too damn young. You don't know." And I hate to say this because I'm old, but times were different. It was different, right?
Absolutely.
totally different.
And
They're 4 years from moving out of your house when they're 22.
right. And I totally said I've told all my kids, I'm like, find somebody that you love and you want to spend the rest of your life with. You don't necessarily have to be married. Right. Marriage today doesn't carry the same weight as it did back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Right.
Yeah, it's a different institution. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we all got, like I said, my son got married. He was 29. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they're waiting. Times are different. They've lived together for 4, 5, 6 years,
which is absolutely, I think is the smartest thing. But living together with the person, because that seems to be the one thing that really kind of puts a kibosh on a lot of what marriages. Oh, we're great, we're dating, we're doing this, we're going out all the time. Then it's all of a sudden we move in together after we get married, and like, oh, this is really who you are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You're a freaking slob or whatever. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Stephanie says the jewelry store ruined Rich's proposal. They called me to tell me the ring was ready for pickup. I love Rich. He proposed a few months later. Then we went and got burgers and a milkshake at Red Robin.
Nice.
Yum.
Yeah.
That's it. And Red Robin, thanks
Yeah.
for listening. You can send a check to.
Well, it would have been really
Um,
weird had they called and said the ring was ready, and then the next, you're waiting and waiting
Right.
and waiting, and it just never
That's it.
expecting.
That's
What?
that's crazy.
I went and picked it up. She went and picked it up herself to make sure she liked it.
And she's like, "Is this what he got?" Nah, here, I'm gonna
we
make
need
a couple
exchange-
adjustments to the
She
order.
exchanges it out. He comes to actually pick it up. I'm like, that's not the one I picked. No, sir, but she was in and she liked this one better.
Yeah.
It's only an extra $2,000.
Yeah.
Right.
She's worth it. Let me tell you.
The bottom line is, what I say is, hey, you have to find somebody that you can put up with for the rest of your life, right? You don't have to get married, right? You just don't, and because it's different. Right. I mean, it was, hey, we got married so that not necessarily us, but we got married so that the wife could stay home and raise our kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Right now, it's like, no, each of us has to have 4 jobs to be able to survive in the world. And no longer is it, hey, honey, you stay home, pregnant up, and raise the kids.
Yeah, that's not a very common scenario anymore. Yeah.
So it's not Leave It to Beaver anymore, right?
Yeah.
And for you young people listening, Leave It to Beaver was a television show back in the 60s.
Thanks for clarifying that.
It's not something on Pornhub.
Yeah.
I don't know. June, you're
that could be it.
vacuuming in pearls. You know what that does to me.
And Stephanie, I believe that. Steph says he'll tell you I am his most expensive bill. Yeah.
And well you should be, because you probably give him the best things in life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a give and take with marriage, you
Right.
know? And that's another thing, like a lot of kids with dating these days, I think expectations are, from what I see, right? Like what people have all these different expectations instead of just running with the flow. You said, trying not to solve problems, right? And just running with it, right? And that's, for me, it's just.
When I follow a couple social media pages that are like first date horror stories, where it's like Reddit stories that people read out loud.
Yeah, that's cool. Right.
That's got to be.
And like,
yeah.
Kent, you mentioned how it's changed in terms of the financials, people working 4 jobs. And I agree with that. But you think about all the things that we pay for today that we didn't pay for when we got married. That are cost hundreds of dollars, your cell phone bills, your cable television bills. I mean, we voluntarily pay for a lot of things that we don't necessarily have to have, and then say, well, I can't have my husband or my wife stay home to take care of the kids because we can't afford it. Now, the reality for us was, I remember when the kids were a little bit young, when they were younger, she was working. When they got to a certain age, we had 3 of them to go to daycare. It became better financially for her to stay home than to pay for daycare because it was so expensive. So, but I think our lifestyles have become way more important to us than things like being married and things of that nature, because we've convinced ourselves that we have to have all of these things. And so I don't have any money to be married because I got to have all these other nice things. And that's just a choice. It's not necessarily good or bad, but it is a choice.
Yep. And I agree. I agree a lot with that. Being in the finance world for as long as I was, people make just stupid decisions.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, here, there are people who are on food stamps, what I would call food stamps, who have 15 pair of Air Jordans that are $200 each,
or a nice car.
Yeah. I mean, our priorities are way out of whack.
Yeah, I see what Shaylee said. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead and read that, Kent, because I comment on that one.
Yeah, because we are marketed so much out there. But Shaylee says, on that, I am beyond grateful for all the rights that I have as a woman. However, I think that society and people in general were way better off when the family unit was valued and the masculine and feminine roles were emphasized and respected more.
Well said.
Yeah, that's a comment that many in our society would just cringe at today, because they've just made the assumption that that's bad. Those traditional roles are bad. They're not bad. In fact, I would argue they're good, but they're also, you don't have to say they're bad to not choose to live by those roles.
But it was. Go ahead. Sorry, Don.
But again, I mean, one of the things that I wanted to do when I was younger, it was like, all I remember thinking was, I would like to be able to just make enough money for a certain period of time so my wife could stay home and when the kids are at that age where they're very impressionable. And that was just something I wanted. I wanted my wife to be the one influencing my kids when they're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, not a daycare or a babysitter.
So
that
why
was
did
just important
why
to
did
me.
you take her shoes and ask her why she was out of the kitchen?
Exactly. She went right back. I couldn't wait till she could go back to work though too, so that we'd have a little extra cash flow, you know. But that was just something that was important to me. Is it's just so many people today turn over the raising of their kids to strangers.
Well, you know, the thing that what the Shaylee says, and she's not wrong, but for me, like, it's not necessarily that, you know, as far as having the different roles, right? Like, this is going to be your job. This is going to be your job. The traditional was more working as a team, right? That you took this, I took that, you know, to help each other out and to move forward. And I don't know, you know, that things have been skewed. I don't care. I'll do whatever. I'll cook and clean if I need to, so my wife can take care of the kids or go to work. I mean, it's whatever works for her, but it's a give and take. Any marriage is give and take. You know, it's compromise.
Well, yeah. And Shaylee, are you an AI bot? Thanks for joining us. Absolutely love you, and the knowledge that you're spitting is pretty cool. But if you're an AI bot, let me know. Thanks.
But Shaylee makes that point about one of the things that it's not men that demean women who stay home and take care of their children. Generally, it's women who demean women who stay home to take care of their children. And I don't understand. I've never understood that. Why would you demean somebody for taking care of their kids?
Listen,
I found that odd.
Well, in that
so,
in that scenario, is it somebody that's demeaning them, that's maybe jealous of them, or you know, because they can't do it?
So
maybe.
Rich chooses life, so he does most of the cooking. All right, now
I love that.
I'm gonna pivot because it's come up a couple times today, and the dating scene ain't easy, right? That's the title of this podcast, this episode. You have said it. Your dad has brought it up. Oh, date nights when you're married, still very, very important. Explain.
He's mocking it.
Explain.
Yeah.
So
I hear this.
I think right. So for me, like a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people get into this role of once you're married, you're set. You're married. You guys do whatever. If you live your life, right, and do what you originally planned. For me, I don't think that, because you get complacent, right, and you don't appreciate that person as much because they just do things, right. For me, I fell into that trap because it was just, no, you're my wife. This is what you're supposed to do to me. Everything's supposed to be great. But for
what you're supposed to do to me?
Did I hear that right? Back that up for a second here.
All right. Freudian slip.
Okay, that didn't come out quite right, did it, Scott? Huh?
Steve and I looked at each other like, did we just hear that right?
Yeah.
She knows what she's supposed to do to me. What?
Exactly. Well, hopefully she does after all these years, but you know, it's just you get complacent and you start, you know, not really paying attention. And I mean, we do have our own lives to live, but for me, we get along so much better when we're, you know, it's just kind of like when you're a kid, you're flirting with each other all the time, and you're not taking things for granted.
How often do you go on date nights, quote unquote?
Well, every Friday night is date night for us. We go out every Friday night, either to dinner or to go to some event or something, just to go out and to be alone, be together, you know, and kind of try to shut off the outside world and not necessarily remember, but enjoy our quality time together without any outside influences messing with us.
How often?
Every Friday.
Every Friday. Steve?
Do I do the date nights?
Yeah.
We go. I mean, we hang out I see her every day. We hang out every day. Every night is a date night. I spend every night of my life with this woman. Do we go out and have fun when people invite us out? I mean, but we don't like set aside a time that, you know. She said the same thing. You know, we should have like a date night.
It's different than just you're with them every day, but taking them out and, you know, being special. When you go out on a date, that person is a little bit more special.
Yeah, we don't call it date night. We call it disconnected time.
Okay, whatever. Just quality time.
Put our phones down somewhere and then just have a face-to-face dinner or whatever.
Right. It's just the two of you, and that's dating. When it's dating, it's generally just the two of you. Even though you might go on a double date or something, it's still just the two of you enjoying each other's company and doing and talking about whatever, wherever. And you lose sight of that once you get married. I think a lot of people just kind of, their expectations change,
Don,
right?
how
Like,
about-
I get married, everything's going to be great. No, you still have to work at it.
Don, how about you guys?
Yeah, we don't have what we would call a designated date night. I am one of those that loves to just go out to dinner and, after, on Friday or not Saturday night or both, if I had my way. Connie's a little bit more of a homebody. So for me, I agree. It's something that's important because we do kind of, you lose that kind of honeymoon. The honeymoon period can only last so long. And it's because we do start taking things for granted. And I think there is the idea of how do you kind of stay in that mode or get in that mode on occasion of where you are kind of dating once again. So I get that conceptually, but it does certainly change over time. I'm obviously over 34 years. You're not in the, I suppose some people would say we're still in the honeymoon phase. I don't buy that.
At yours and Scott's age, you're having dinner at 3, watching Wheel of Fortune, and going to bed.
Dude, you're
Amen,
one
brother.
That's all a date night.
You're 1 year.
I'm not watching.
He's got so much more energy.
I'm not
I
watching.
just like the social aspect of being out, and sometimes you meet.
Freaking Ryan Seacrest, calm it down.
Hold on, Don. I couldn't hear you. What'd you say?
I was saying I just like the social aspect of going out and doing something. Connie and I are big fans of going to breweries and connecting with other people. Again, it's friendships are,
for me, it's like getting
fewer
away
these days. So,
right?
that's
different.
Okay, so what?
Yeah.
Do you repeat? You do this every Friday. Do you repeat what a date night, or is every
do you mean
date
by
night
repeat?
special and different?
Oh,
So in
no,
other
no,
words,
no.
it's like all right, well, let's go out to Chili's and we'll get the 2 for $10, and then,
Same
and then
orders.
We'll go, then we'll mix in,
yeah, we don't do that.
We'll catch a quick comedy show, and then we'll come home and sit on the deck, and we'll both fall asleep. I mean, what?
Yes, it does change.
Are you like, man? I'm surprising her with rose petals, and I'm dripping honey on her, and
Whoa, hey.
you know what I'm saying? I mean, otherwise it is mundane. It's like, oh, okay, it's Friday, time to go out again. Well,
No, I mean, we don't get crazy like that, but I mean, there are nights that are more special than others that we might do something or dress up a little bit more fancy, but it's generally entails, depending, like, we love fish. We're fish snobs, so we love to go out for fish fry. So we'll find a place and go out for a fish fry, enjoy that, and then depending on winter, summer, what time of the year it is, I mean, might go out for a ride on the boat, might go for a ride on the motorcycle. I'm not a big movie guy anymore. I used to be, but I don't sit in a theater. Doesn't do it for me because I'd rather go out and enjoy. We'll go out for a ride in the car, so it is different. But I mean, the standard thing is we do go out and share a meal together.
So listen,
right? That starts the evening.
Listen, a few years ago, we did a show here called Anything Goes with Bremer and Jones, and Don Bremer. What? You don't take Alice on dates? I don't. Right? We're married. We do things we enjoy together. But it's not like, oh, let's take time to go out on a date. So she's like, you have to da. She's gonna love it, right? So we did. So we went out on a date, and we took pictures and whatnot, a quote unquote date. Took her out to Bimbo's. She's never eaten at Bimbo's. Blah 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 blah. Right? And through the whole thing, we were both. It wasn't like it was like, oh my God, this feels so cool. It was. This is weird, right? So we do a lot of things together. We build things together out of wood, and we upcycle. We go on walks together. We absolutely do a lot. We go to basketball games. We do things together that we absolutely love. Now, here's what I would challenge, right? What I would challenge you is this, and it sounds like, Steve, you may do this. I wake up about 4 o'clock every morning, 4 to 5, somewhere between 4 and 5. That's who I am, right?
Yeah.
My eyes open. It's time to start the day. And I look at my wife, and I'm thankful. And I thank God for this beautiful woman who's crazy enough to stay with me, right? So I give thanks every day. I'm very, very, very grateful for who she is and what she does, right? And I understand her love language, right?
Yeah.
So I try to fill that love language tank every day, right? Hers is hers is acts
of kindness or service. Okay.
So
clean the house, Kent.
Right. So it's it's not. I don't have to clean the whole house. It's do something, and my my love language is words of affirmation. So when I do things, I want her to go, hey, that's a good boy, and pet me like a Labrador, like, good boy, right? So I have to tell myself, I'm not looking for praise, but I'm going to do this because I know she's going to notice, and it's going to fill up her love language tape, right? And we're both the same. She and I is like, yeah, going on dates. Now we'll go to galas, we'll do things, right, without the kids, but it's not like it's date night.
Yeah.
It's time for date night, right? We can sit in the same room and not say a word to each other and absolutely love the time that we're together, uninterrupted.
Right.
Whatever.
But what you guys are spending a lot of quality time doing things. So, and that's good because you guys do those things. So you could look at building your wood cabinets or whatever you guys are doing kind of as a date. It's a common thing that you guys are doing, right? You're just not going out necessarily and spending money on or going to this, going to a restaurant or something like that. So in a way, you guys still are. You're doing so. So dating, right? What is dating? You're going out. You're doing things that you enjoy with these people, right? And discovering who they are.
Going out.
Well, you haven't stopped doing that, though. You're kind of dating when you're doing those things, right? Because you're not choosing. What a lot of times happens that I see is a lot of times people will just kind of, after they get married, they have the kids, they just start doing this and they're doing their own thing and they spread farther and farther and farther apart. They forget who they are and why they were together.
Because they don't take time to look at it.
Right,
and say,
but you
very
guys are technically, in my mind, the way you say that is it's kind of still dating. You're still doing things that you enjoy together.
And she and I'll both get mad at you and be like, it's not dating. We
Yeah.
don't date. We're married.
Right.
We're married. We don't date.
I think that's the wrong
Have you,
attitude on that one. But because the way you say it, like we're married, like we're dead. You're not dead. You're still two humans.
we're married. That's it.
Right, but that's just the way you say it. Like we're married.
We talk a lot about the traditional like family unit in like the 90s sitcoms that we always talk about. Have you seen Kevin Can Fuck Himself?
No.
You need to watch it.
Yeah.
Every time he's on screen, they do it like King of Queens style. The laugh track, he's a big goofball, everything's funny and bright. And then when it's her by herself, she has severe depression and has thoughts of killing her husband. So every time he leaves the room, the camera changes to a darker camera, different filter, much more serious.
Yeah.
Everything's a little bit more dark, and she's a little bit more disheveled. And yeah, the whole thing is how she hates her life.
Right.
But I think it's hysterical because we always talk about that 90s sitcom life, and how it doesn't really work. But it makes me laugh because like they do the same thing where it's like he's just spending all his time. He doesn't care about her. He spends time with his friends. He goes out. He watches the sports. The stereotypical sitcom husband.
I mean, a lot of people work their 9-to-5 job. They come home. They're tired. They're not giving their significant other potentially that quality time that they need. You guys doing the things that you do are giving your quality time.
How do you introduce Deidre? As somebody you just met, you guys are on your date night. How do you introduce her?
This is my wife, Deidre.
Right. No, exactly. How do you introduce Sam?
Well, actually, normally I would say this is Deidre.
But I think
depends.
This is my wife. You own her, right? And that's
whoa! I didn't say that, honey. So just make sure you understand that own type shit never would ever come out of my mouth.
I always introduce Alice as Alice, right? Everybody thinks her name's Allison. I'm like, no, it's Alice. I'm Ken, right? So I do not say, well, my wife. If I ever talk about her, it's Alice, because she's an individual, and I still have so many people do what you just did. This is my wife. This is my husband.
Right.
Oh, what? All right.
I'll just be like, hey, this is my wife, Deidre, right? And and I get that, but instead of, well, this is my girlfriend, Timmy or Tommy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so for me, it's like when I say to people, when I introduce myself, most people are like, hey, my name's Steve. Well, hi, my name's Scott Giles. You know what I mean? I do it differently than most. Instead of just saying, hi, I'm Scott. Hey, Scott Giles, how are you? Nice to meet you. Hey, this is my wife, Deidre. Nice to, you know what I mean? It's not meant to be condescending. To me, it's a pride thing, right? Like, this is my fucking wife. She chose me. Check it out.
Well, that's not the way you said it. This is my wife.
This is my wife.
Like
I
it was
love
a death sentence.
Well,
for her.
Okay. You want me to do it exactly like I'm out there, but you asked me, so and that's generally how I do it. But for me, I'm excited. I'm like, this is my wife.
Hey, why are you getting mad? Because
mad.
When I said we're married, you're like, oh my God, you say that
Scott, you're fine introducing her as your wife. It's okay. It's okay.
Right, no, I know, but I'm very passionate about that because I am very lucky.
So where I'm going with this, what I believe, in my opinion, is when people say, this is my husband, this is my wife, the romance is gone. I now own you, right? This is mine. This is my motorcycle. I own it, right?
Ooh, that's an interesting
Right?
way to look at it.
So as your dad says, marriage should never stop. The romance and attention that brought the two of you together. I think that once you give that ownership, I think it does, and that's where what happens. What you say, people start drifting.
Yeah.
Right. This is Alice.
That's interesting. I like
Right?
it. Yeah.
Because I fell in love with Alice. I didn't fall in love with my wife. Right.
That's true. But you made Alice your wife.
Ooh,
You were lucky enough to make her your wife.
I did.
Or for her to become your wife.
As Shaylee said, the state did. Right. We had to fill out. Right.
State shouldn't be involved in it at all. If you ask me, that's a whole different topic.
Right. So for 11 years we were married, and she never changed her last name for 11 years. Right.
She didn't trust
Just
you.
waiting to make sure it was going to work out, right?
Right.
No,
She didn't trust him
She
yet.
signed her name, but on her social security card and everything. So our taxes for the first 11 years of our marriage were Kent Jones, Alice Finn.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
And at first I was like, and then I was like, who cares? Right.
Right. Does it really matter
Who
to
cares?
big
Doesn't
picture
matter.
other than
Right.
a little bit of cash?
So, yeah, but it
I was
always
gonna
made
say,
it
I never
fun
cared.
because like she would get hired as Alice Jones, and then we'd have to do Alice Finn. It was very discombobulating sometimes for our accountant. But anyway,
Her name was Smith. Her name was Smith.
yeah, Finn.
It's funny. She went from Smith to Jones. Huh? She talk about easy
Finn.
names. Yeah.
Irish.
My poor wife went from Thomas to my last name. Yeah, she's probably
Yeah,
regretted that for the rest of her life.
Jada says I introduced mine as my first husband.
First husband, yeah. Well, that reminds me of that meme that reminds me of a meme I saw where a guy says something to his wife says something to him, and he says, "You're starting to sound like my ex-wife." And she goes, "You've been married before?" And he goes, "No."
That's it. So what I'm saying is, I'm with you, Steve. I don't think once you're married, I think date nights are ridiculous, and that's just me. You love them, Scott, and I love that you love them, and a lot of my friends do too, right? Think that it's so important, and I just kind of giggle because I'm like, I literally am on a date every day of my life with her, right? This is right. It's a fun ride.
Well, then you like date nights then.
Right. Because then your whole
Some
life's
days.
a date then.
Some days,
Yeah, some dates are good, some dates are bad, right?
One day out of the week to
some days,
definitely do it.
some days.
But for me though, that night it's 100%. The focus is 100% on us. You know, I can't
Well,
do
that's
that
funny
every day.
that you only pick one day for that.
Where it's 100% focus.
Yeah, that's
I
what
can't
say.
guarantee
It's-
that every day because right now we live pretty busy lives by choice. You know, we have things that we want to do as individuals and as a couple, and you know, respect each other's time and what they want to do. But we make sure that we're, you know, giving that at least that minimum, that one full day or date night, right?
On your date nights, do you ever talk about any of the businesses that you have?
Generally not. Generally not.
Generally.
There has been some times, obviously, that we do. I mean, but as a general rule of thumb, no. Date nights are just about where we're at, what we're doing, where we want to go.
Yeah.
It's almost like for me, my best date nights for me and her, I feel, and I think she'll agree, is in riding around in one of our cars, just talking, because I think we have our best conversations where it's just like out in the middle of nowhere type of thing, just cruising around, being free, I guess, you know.
Shaylee, absolutely, it was pride. I was young, 20, like I said, 22 years old, and you're supposed to be my wife. It was a pride thing back when I was a kid, and then I was like, big deal. The name has nothing to do with it. Big deal, right? Just like when my daughter got married. You keeping Jones, right? You hyphenating that name? And I told Alice, there were two things. There was two things that I wanted when we got married. That she wear a white dress with a long train, right? Because back then we were still in the era of Princess Diana's 6 mile train, right? And I said, and you won't hyphenate to your last name. Those are the two demands that I wanted.
I just told my wife show up. That's I
Right.
wanted. Just show up.
And you know, and that was a strictly pride thing, right? Who cares? And that's why I tell my daughters now. I'm like, you be you, whatever you want to change your name, right? Now my daughter's name is Ashley Peschke, right? Change it, right? My son, my daughter-in-law Abby hyphenates her last name. I don't care. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares? Right?
It's a name. I mean, unless you're trying to continue your family name on it, or your last one going, dying off. I mean, and in the big picture, I mean, I don't know. I've got one of each. So, I mean, I'm going to carry on that name. But for me, I just want my kids happy. I want my parents happy, whatever floats their boat, as long as it's good for them. They're not hurting other people. Have at it. You want to hyphenate your name? You want to change your name? That's fine. But
yeah, thank God I've got Spencer to carry on the last name of Jones. Maybe that would die off.
Yeah, that Jones name. There's none of those.
Yeah, there's nobody out there named Jones anymore.
Oh Lord,
got to keep that name alive.
We are absolutely on the backside of this thing. Absolutely love everybody for all their attention and input today. Shaylee, welcome in. Great.
Yeah, welcome, Shaylee. Nice to meet you.
Good conversation today.
We didn't get to all your comments. We appreciate you tuning in. Hey, if you get time, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe out there. Share us with all your friends. We really appreciate it.
Now, listen, and don't bleep us out here, Facebook. Next week on 10/11. Oh, hey, and it's 10/4, good buddy. Listen, next week, 10/11, we're going to be talking about, you guys are killing me.
I almost said that earlier. You're killing me here.
Yeah, no.
I'll wear You're Killing Me small shirt.
Oh, yeah.
And then 10/18, then and now, it ain't the same. And then on 10/25, we're going to talk about Halloween costumes from the day and to current, which is great. And then on 11/1, Kelsey's going to hit us with a rapid fire 20 questions, right? Kelsey's going to, her son, hopefully she starts feeling better. He starts feeling better, but we miss her. She was on a few weeks ago, but she's going to be a regular now on the grounds. Bring a woman's perspective to some of this conversation outside of Shaylee and Shayna, but a live microphone one, right? So she's going to hit us with 20 questions, and then 11/8.
Cards Against Humanity.
The new America.
New America.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It will be. Well, that's right. Oh, boy.
I might not
be a lot of peanut butter on that one.
Peanut butter that day.
I might be tuning in remotely on that show.
There's gonna be some peanut. It might be chunky peanut butter. But peanut butter.
Depending, I might be hiding in the woods.
We'll be tiptoeing that line very, very closely, but we thought we'd have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun with that one.
Right. All right, and then 11:15. Are we thankful? Did we get enough? and then on 11:29, we're gonna do a little Cards Against Humanity.
Nice.
That'll be fun.
That is going to be one of the most interesting shows we've had.
Yeah. So listen, we absolutely love everybody. Remember, big shout out to our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness. If you are stressed, they'll help you be blessed. Check them out at McHenryMassage.com, 815-385-8190. And our good friends over at JH Events and Flowers. It's $5 Friday. Stop in, grab a $5 bouquet of flowers, fresh cut, and brighten somebody's day. I have never seen any man or woman get a bouquet of flowers and go, I didn't want that.
Right.
It brightens up the day, brightens up your.
Well, you haven't given me flowers yet.
Great
You
weekend.
won't bring me flowers.
And listen, if you are fortunate enough in the Carolinas and in the path of the hurricane, God be with you. We're praying for you. We're hoping that your power gets turned back on, roads get cleaned up. And if you need anything, reach out to info@216thenet.com. We'll do everything we can to either help you out or find ways to help you out. We are devastated by what has happened over there on the East Coast, and we know we got a lot of listeners over there. Yeah. So know that we'll do whatever we can if you reach out to info@216thenet.com. So
thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it. Go out and have a great
weekend, everybody.
Yep. Don, thanks for tuning in. Shaylee, nice for tuning in. We really appreciate your comments, and we'll see you guys next week. Go out and have a wonderful weekend.
You're not going to do your thing?
No, I thought you were going to do it. Go out and be the change you want to see in the world, guys. We certainly appreciate you tuning in with us every week out there. Have a good one.